Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly event with U.S. Spiritist Federation. Today we have a wonderful speaker, Eduardo Haddad, delivering a very unique titled speech, which I will be paying particular interest to. But first, if I can find my document, all of a sudden I've lost my technology. Okay, we want to thank everyone for being here. This is the session that is held at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And the title of Eduardo's speech today is, How's My Driving? A Spiritist Call to Conscience. And on behalf of everyone, welcome, Eduardo. I'd like to give you first a quick bio on Eduardo. He has been actively involved working to disseminate the Spiritist movement in California, Florida, Texas, as well as nationally for the past 25 years. Having founded Spiritist Center in California and Texas, serving as treasurer of the Spiritist Federation of Florida, and currently as the treasurer of the U.S. Spiritist Federation. He is currently a worker at the Kardec Spiritist Group of Austin, Texas. During Eduardo's presentation today, you are invited to use the chat window to ask any questions based on what Eduardo is communicating. And we have set aside time during this presentation for Eduardo to address those questions. Eduardo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thanks, everyone. Good morning. Howdy here from Texas. And I'll be speaking about how's my driving, how's our driving. I am a car enthusiast, so I gave it away on the title of my talk today. And the goal today is to use an analogy. As a matter of fact, Mark, I stumbled upon, I think, one talk that you gave about a month ago, talking about the Spiritist principles. And I think you also used that talk to illustrate how AI can help us, be better speakers, educators, students, and that's what this presentation is as well. It will cover an important part of the Spiritist philosophy, science, religion. But I also want to use this for everyone who is watching now, or the recorded version, as an illustration of how we can use AI to help us again, speed up, better organize our ideas, cut time in research, better summarize information, and a host of other interesting resources that AI now brings to us. I'm still here, as you can see, so AI hasn't taken this job, but and I don't think it will. It will help make this job better. That's really what I believe in. And I did ask AI. I work for Google. I have to disclose that, and therefore I'm using Google's technology. And I did ask AI to help me with an analogy. I was thinking about I was driving and I saw a big truck, and there was the sign, "How's my driving?" You may have seen those trucks where they ask you to call in case you want to complain or praise the driver. And I was thinking about, right, how is that we can all share the road, and most of the time accidents don't happen, thank God, and we get from point A to point B safely. And I was thinking, and we don't necessarily communicate. I mean, there's some level of communication via signs, the blinking, etc. But most of it is shared knowledge about the rules of the road, right? So I was thinking about it, and because as drivers we share the same knowledge of the rules of the road, that makes it safer for everyone, right? Everyone is supposed to. We know that's not the case 100% of the time, but we are supposed to know the rules and we are supposed to follow the rules. And when we do that, something magical happens, right? We we get from point A to point B in the fastest and safest way. Now, when we ignore those rules, then we get fined. We get frustrated when someone cuts in front of us, for example, without signaling. And sometimes there are accidents. But imagine if we didn't have this shared code, how it would be impossible for us to drive and to get anywhere. Well, what I've asked AI to do is, how can we use this reference in life? And the question is, do we have a shared code in life? And the good news, and Spiritism brings us a lot of interesting information about this. We do have a shared code for life, right? The universe is not chaos. There are laws. There are forces that propel us, and it's not a mystery. I mean, it's mysterious, but it's not a mystery because it's been revealed. Right? It's been revealed throughout history, but I think more recently, in the 1850s, with the advent of Spiritism through the works of Allan Kardec, it's been codified. It's been written down. It's been spelled out for us. And knowing those rules, much like knowing the driving rules, can make our journey safer, faster, and can help avoid accidents and pain and suffering. So this is an illustration of what I've asked AI to do, and you can see AI is really good with analogies. So we are going to go through analogies to kind of double click on what are those rules, right? And do we have to study them? Do we have to observe them? What are they? So in this little journey that we're going to take in the next few minutes, right? We are the drivers. You are the driver. Your body is the vehicle, and life is the grand road trip. I mean, we say the body is the vehicle. It's really your spirit, right? Your whole being is the vehicle, right? Spirit plus body, the incarnated spirit or the discarnated spirit, because we are also surrounded by our brothers and sisters who are, either in between lives, right, or helping us, guiding us as mentors, for example. And I think as we go through this, we want to ask ourselves, how's my driving? If I now know these rules, what's the quality of my driving? Again, there's no judgment here. There's no grade point. Because this is a journey and we are all learning. It's just good to be aware and to want to become better, which is one of the rules, actually, is one of the laws, is as you're going to see, is this innate force of wanting to be better. So that's all about it, not about passing or failing. So welcome to driver's ed. Now, where is the manual? And one of the foundational books of Spiritism, as codified by Allan Kardec, the Spirit's book, I think in 1857, brings us what I'm going to call the manufacturer's handbook, right, for human experience or spiritual life. And it contains a host of, just fantastic information, structured in a question and answer format. I think there are 1,019 questions and answers. And a part of those cover the divine laws, right? Those are the laws we're going to study here today, which I'm calling the Universal Traffic Code, the 10 divine laws. I don't think it's a coincidence that there are 10. Obviously, there were 10 commandments as well. I think the spirits who were assisting Kardec, they were very, they are very didactic. They want to help our understanding. So, they make things simpler by, as much as possible, reusing similar concepts that we had to before. It's a build-up, right? So that we can refer to the previous set of knowledge and expand upon, and that's exactly what these divine laws will do for us. One of the first ones, or the first one, is the law of worship. Right? This is that innate feeling that we have that we belong to something bigger, that we've been created by something bigger than us, that there is a force that guides the universe, which we call God, and that innate feeling of worshiping, right, is really elevating our thoughts and being connected to this force, to our Creator, to orient our journey. We know that the closest and the more aligned we are to this law, the less suffering, and kind of the quicker we move through our journey without accidents. The analogy here is really connecting to the GPS, right? So the GPS helps us know where to go, which roads to take, how fast or slow that journey is going to be, and this is really what this is. Our connection to God helps orient ourselves into this journey. Another law is the law of labor, and this is a law that creates this innate necessity for development. We may stall at different points, but we never remain stationary. At some point, life will give us a little nudge so that we can continue progressing. We have this innate feeling that we want to be better, we want to get better, we want to do more, and this is why we have to work. Sometimes we don't think work is as fun as that, but as Andre Lewis says in the World of the Spirit under definitions, that's a book that's been written by Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira. Then they channeled the spirit Andre Lewis. Andre Lewis says, work is a blessing from the Heavenly Father by which we blot out imperfection. And I think that's a perfect definition. That's how we progress. And if I were to use an analogy, that's the engine and the fuel, right? That is what propels the car forward. That what propels us forward is the law of labor. It's innate in us. Another law is the law of reproduction, and what this law creates is it attracts us to make families, right? I know one can study history and understand how did society evolve, how did we get to a point where we collectively, which is fascinating, we collectively as a planet decided that the best way to organize was as families, and that can be found basically everywhere. Every country you go, there is some sort of family organization. Now, did someone dictate or kind of mandate that every country in the world would be organized in families? Did someone go from country to country, explaining how it should be? Not at all. Not at all. Somehow we all decided that we were going to organize as families. And this is why those are laws. If you one steps back and you examine that even though we all have different cultures, right? I'm Brazilian, we are here in America, and you go to a different country and you see the differences in culture, and that's fine, and that's beautiful actually, to have that variety of cultures. But some of the foundations seem to be the same, and then you wonder how is that possible, that the foundation is the same if no one decided or dictated that they would be the same. We want to believe that this is because of these divine laws, that they exist in us, and they attract us to it. They propel us and they attract us. So this is one of them where, whatever format you decide to have a family, whether you decide to have kids or not in this life, it's all fine, because we are each own person, and there's no set guidelines as to how you're going to live your life. There are forces that attract us, and you decide what part of that law do you want to practice in a given life, right? It's a choice, it's free will. But interesting enough, the foundation of how we learn, how we evolve, starts in a family. We all started in a family, good or bad. We all started there, and this is the first school, the first driving school for each one of us is our own families, right? Another law that's innate in us is the law of preservation, much like our cars that we should, routinely maintain to make sure it's not going to fall apart. This law instinctively makes us want to take care of our body, for example, and makes us want to take care of things. Again, sometimes we do a good job at that. Sometimes we relapse, and same thing with our cars, right? So something breaks, and then sometimes it's expensive, it's painful, and then you decide that I will take better care next time. And I think it's very similar with our own well-being, whether it's our health, our mental well-being. um, the law of preservation makes us more aware that we need to take care of ourselves. Counterpoint to the law of preservation is the law of destruction. And the law of destruction, as explained by the spirits, is nothing more than a means of transformation. And Leon Denis, in the book after that, affirms again that in nature nothing dies but to be born again. I think it was Lavoisier who, and enunciated something similar, that nothing gets destroyed in nature, but it just transforms. And it couldn't be truer, right? That you need that destruction to um, to see the new be born. And we see a lot of roadworks, right? You see, and it's a mess. And normally when a new bridge or a new road is being built, it's dirty, it's messy, it confuses traffic. It seems like everything is being destroyed, but in reality, the old is being destroyed, and something new and better is about to be born, right? And that's how it happens, whether it's a natural disaster, or even bad things that happen in the world. Those are just means of transforming. Something better will come after that. The law of society. This is one of my favorites, and I say favorites just because I quote it a lot, because I think it's kind of a hidden, not so well understood law. Or maybe it is, maybe I don't understand it well. Where it's the principle of social interaction, right? The spirits clarify to us that the only way we learn is through social interaction. I mean, we may deceive ourselves and think otherwise, but the reality is, there's always someone teaching and there's always someone learning, right? And we take those roles alternatively through life. Sometimes we are teaching, sometimes we are learning, whether it's a formal education, or informal. We are always exchanging knowledge when we meet someone, and even if it's a casual conversation, you are always learning something, even if you're not aware of it. So that is how God wanted it to be. That we grow through this interaction. And um, it may sound a little trite, a little obvious, but when we pray for something, when we ask God for something, right? First law of worship. When we are, because normally when we are worshiping, we do three things. We worship, we recognize how great God is. We thank. Hopefully, we don't forget to thank, and we ask, which is fine because we've been told you should ask, right? And I do, for sure. And when we ask for something, normally the answer. That's why I tell people. I mean, some people wait for a miracle. They want something to materialize, but 99% of the time, the answer comes from another person, comes in the form of help that someone else manifests in our life, right? If we are stuck somewhere, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, whatever the case might be, professionally, and we ask for help, 99% of the time the answer comes through another person, right? Whether it's someone at work that helps us, your doctor that heal you, your teacher that teach you, your family, your mom and dad, your brother and sister, whoever it is that come for the rescue. That is the law of society in action. The law of progress. That is another fascinating law, which basically affirms that we cannot remain still. We may we may decide to take a break, to take a pause, to slow down, but this is a inescapable law, which is very interesting. I always stop to think and contemplate and kind of delve into these deep thoughts about, do we really have free will? I know we do have free will, but some of these laws, they basically define free will in the sense that our free will operate within the constraints of these laws, because you can't stop them. You can work with them, you can align or not to those laws, but you cannot stop them. And the law of progress, shows that we were created simple and ignorant. Here we are today, those of us on earth, incarnated in this journey of reincarnation. And we know through these laws that we are destined to be perfect and happy, right? Once we reach the level of pure spirits, which still very distant for some of us. I speak for myself. It's still ways away, but I know we'll get there. It's inescapable. How many incarnations and experiences it will take. It's something that's our. I think in the Spirit's book they say this is the only fate that it really exists. I mean, does fate exist? This is the one that exists. Our fate is to become perfect and happy, right? That's what God wanted for us. Um, the law of equality, and now we get into a set of laws, which, whenever I think about the fact that they were written, they were communicated to Kardec by the spirits through the mediums. They were written and published in the 1850s. Some of these things were shocking. I mean, today we look at this laws, and we say, of course, right? I mean, we all accept them. But again, 170, 50 years ago, this wasn't necessarily the case. A lot of these ideas were emerging, and to state them as truths um, was a bit shocking. So the law of equality means I like what AI is doing here with the analogy. A red light means stop. Whether you are in a supercar or a rusty bicycle, it doesn't matter. The rules apply to all. That is the law of equality, and the spirits make no exception. There's no exceptions. That's as simple as that. Another one, the law of freedom, right? So the ability to choose one's path and bear the consequence, free will, which is our right as drivers. We have our hands on the wheel. We choose when to turn. You know, we choose when to brake, when to accelerate. And that's how it's supposed to be. Right? We are free free beings. We were born free, and that's how God wanted it to be. And thankfully, that conscience of, of freedom has only grown since this was written, and continues to do so, because this is a law, and it will continue to become clearer and clearer in all of its different manifestations. Now, this is the one law that um, um, the AI is calling here the ultimate driver's ethic. Right? It is a combo of three laws into one. We call it the law of justice, love, and charity, which is could be seen as the bigger of the laws, is the major driving force, and it's also an expression of evolution, of progress, right? Um, it starts with justice. It's the basic element that we all share, where we innately don't like to see anyone's rights being broken, especially our own. And we expect everyone else to follow the rules, right? This is that innate sense of justice that we have. But that sense of justice, which is the basic starting point, it evolves into something that is not just wanting to make sure that everyone uh, follows the rules and is treated equally, but also that we want what's better for everybody. That's love. That's when we start to not think only about ourselves, but also think about the next person, and realize, that God himself or herself, through what Jesus clarified to us, is a loving God. Right? It emanates love. That is what permeates the universe, and that's what we should practice. And Jesus gave us a lifetime of real examples and words and teachings that we continue to study to this day, where again it's being on the road and wanting to make sure that every other driver is okay as well, and that evolves into making that something active, not just wanting, but seeing someone in need, right? And if it's a driver, it's actively stopping to help someone who's in trouble. That is that is being a brother or sister in the greater sense of things, right? So that is the combo here: justice, love, and charity. That's the 10th divine law that is brought to us um, by the Spirit's book. Now, we've been talking about AI, so I wanted to illustrate how easy it is to use AI resources. If you are an educator, this is an example where, if you are like a youth educator, and you wanna make this more um, iterative, or interactive, I should say. I Honest to God, all I did is I put the laws there, and I asked AI, can you build a game for me? And it did. And I'm not gonna play the game. I'm just gonna show here um, what it did. So it basically created a little game where you do the matching, right? You have the laws on the right, you have the definitions. On the left, you have the definition on the right, and then down here you can put your answer. Whether it's F6 or G1, etc., and then it's going to grade it for you. I'm not going to do it here. I just wanted to share that this took exactly 5 seconds to be created, right? So that's one example, and you can make this more interesting if you want, more colorful. But it's just one of those things that the resources are so many right now that we don't have a great excuse not to be better, not great, but better educators, for example, if you are in the business of trying to share knowledge, for example, and educate people. But coming back here, I just wanted to pause for a second. Right? We'll continue here. So how do we become? So now we know the rules, right? It's like when you get your license, right? You study the booklet, you took some practical driving lessons, you go to the DMV, and you pass your test, and you get your permit, then you get your license. But now, how do you evolve from there? Now you are a kind of a new driver. You're still paying a lot of attention. With time, things become more natural for you, like second nature. But now, how do you become an expert? How do you step up from there? Again, I'm an amateur race car driver, so I'm like, how do I get better at this? And there's a few things here, right, that we start doing now that we are aware of those things, and AI calls this defensive living, which I like it. Is a few things that we can practice almost on a daily basis. One is self-awareness, right? And again, it's also in the works of Kardec. It's also in Spiritism, right? When Kardec asks the spirits, what's a practical way of or a tool that I can use to improve? And the spirits, I think, quote, was it Plato or Socrates, one of the Greek philosophers, and says, well, once one philosopher already said, know thyself, know yourself. And the self-awareness of starting to study yourself, understand who you are, what are my blind spots, what's my thought pattern, what's my pattern of feelings, during the day, during the week, during the month, how do I react to things, how do I react to people. That's extremely valuable when you start understanding who you are, and because that absolutely gives you the x-ray of, here are the spots, here are the things that you need to work on. And am I thinking about myself all the time? How often do I think of somebody else? How often do I think of my wife, husband, partner, kids, parents? Do I care? Again, these are questions I ask myself. You can ask yourself. Am I patient? How how long does it take for someone to really, rub me the wrong way? Is it something that happens many times a day, for whatever reason, or have I been trying to just be calmer, more patient, more understanding? Those things that we want to improve. That comes from self awareness. And the second step is, okay, once you know that, own it. Own it. Understand. Here's how I am. Yes, I know that I am impatient and sometimes I snap at people. It's on me. It's not the other person's fault. It's something I'm working on. There's nothing wrong, actually. I think it's noble that you know yourself, you don't blame the other person for your problem. You take responsibility, and you correct. That's love and charity. Yeah, you made a mistake, you lost your temper, you said something you shouldn't say, you send a message, a DM, an email that you later regret, that you that you say, hey, I should have, thought twice, it's fine to say I'm sorry. To go talk to the other driver, to the other person, and say, I made a mistake here. I should have been paying more attention, right? And follow guidance. Trust your GPS. Trust your inner voice, which is your conscience. We're going to talk about that, and seek guidance. I mean, this is what prayer is for. Is when we are in need, we have this incredible resource that it never empties. You don't have a quota of prayers. You can pray as many times as you need to, and it's listened to every time. So when we need to, we should absolutely, you know, be be connected to our GPS. If somehow it disconnects, we should come back and make sure that we are again, in thinking about God. Final inspection. So the cheat codes here. Now, the question is, do we need to memorize all of these laws? Do we need to carry a little notebook and be checking, which one applies now? And this is the fascinating part of it. We don't. We don't. There's a hack. There's cheat codes here, right? There's two things that help us. One, this is built in our conscience, and we say, well, but how do I know? It's there. It is there. It is there. Number one. It is second. It is there to the degree that we can understand it, and we are going to be asked. We're gonna have to take accountability in the exact proportion of our awareness. So if we are still learning, if we are still at a point where your understanding of a certain aspect of the law is limited, God is not gonna ask you or grade you at the master level. It will take into account where you are in your journey right now, and you're not going to be asked any more or any less of what you understand. As you study, as you live, as you practice, as you become a better human being, that level of awareness grows. So grows your responsibility. This is why we are being asked according to what we know, and this is the level of responsibility that we have. That's perfect. That's God's justice. But it's written within us. If we choose to listen or not, it's a separate problem. But we need to start listening to it. But it's there. Sometimes we do like this, la 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 la, and you don't wanna hear what your own conscience is telling you, but it is telling you, believe me. The second one is we've had the absolute best model that one could have asked for in Jesus. I think it's question 625 of the Spirit's book that basically, Kardec asked the spirits, do we have a model? Who should, who's the best example of what we should aim for in this world? And the spirits were very clear. Jesus. Jesus is the perfect model for us. So we can always remember Jesus if we are in doubt. He embodies all of these laws in so many perfect ways that we really have no excuse to say, oh, I don't know what to do here. Right? We do know a conscience, and we have an example that we can always refer to. In closing, my friends, the goal isn't a flawless record. I know I'm not going to become Ayrton Senna or Lando Norris or Max Verstappen, if you like Formula One. Not in this life, but I want to become a better, wiser, and more loving driver. That's the goal. We want to leave this body, we want to leave this earth better than when we came in. That's the law of progress. So, and by studying these laws and by practicing them, I do believe, and the spirits tell us that we will become better spirits, better human beings. So your conscience is calling. How is your driving? Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being patient with me. Back to
Thank
you,
you.
Mark.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. I can go so many different directions in giving you praise and response. I love the presentation, and I certainly love the analogy. Again, everyone, if you would please stay with us for the Q&A session, which will begin after I give you a few short announcements. So we invite you all to follow us on our social media channels. This allows you to stay updated on upcoming events and activities. Don't forget to visit the USSF bookstore at spiritistbooks.us, where you'll find a wide selection of Spiritist books, growing all the time as new releases come along and new translations. If you work with Spiritist youth or are interested in educational resources, be sure to explore the Family, Youth, and Children Spiritist Education, acronym FYCSE, website. And this is found at spiritismkids.us. And you'll find and discover all kinds of excellent materials and ideas for those involved with educating the youth. And lastly, let's take a moment to check out the Be My Hope app, which I use every day, which offers daily inspiring messages to uplift your spirit. It's available for free on both the App Store and Google Play. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the comments and questions. There's still time to use yours, to send yours. Use your chat window for that purpose. And I will tell you, my question is right in that analogy at the beginning of your presentation, Eduardo, where you talked about the vehicle, which is the body. And so here's the question: how do we incarnates overcome the desire for a new vehicle, as though we think the one we have can be replaced, when instead we should be learning to properly maintain the one we have? So how do we overcome that desire?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, a very elegant way of potentially approaching a difficult topic, right? When we, as the question very well says, right? We don't see we don't see a way out. We don't see a solution. We don't see value in the current life or in the current body, and we want to do something different. It is you know very important for us to step back and remember a few things. One, that God is perfect. I mean, this is where to me these desires, this one and many other desires that we have, they are reflections sometimes which are not aligned with the laws. They are a result of our departure from our GPS, right? Somehow we detached from God and we forgot completely that there is a God, that we are their children, we are their sons and daughters, and it's a loving God. And that means that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. Sometimes it's hard to see that, but that is that trust, is that faith that I am exactly where I am supposed to be. And if I, at this point, am not able to appreciate all that I am, all that I'm destined to be, and and if I am blind to how much I can do, because we all can, then trust. This is when faith becomes very important, because we have to place that confidence in God that I am right now the absolute best version of myself. You may think you are just a rusty old bicycle, right? But you're not. That is the best version of yourself, and you are going to become the supercar. Believe me, you are. We are. We all are going to become supercars. We just have to trust. So faith in this case is to me paramount. Is hanging on to, trusting that God has me in the right place at the right time.
Oh, that's beautiful. There's a whole series of AI related questions, but before we get to them, I'm going to ask this one. What should we learn from accidents in life that are not our fault?
I can use is the same. We can learn from real accidents in life that are not our fault, right? And I mean, I hope that has never happened to you, but it has happened to me. Has happened to members of my family, where I my son was hit by a drunk driver, right? And it obviously was not his fault. Actually, it's the craziest story ever. He was leaving work at 11 p.m. at night on a back road here in Texas. There was nothing and no one, and this one driver, one drunk driver, came out of nowhere and came straight and hit him. So it's like, if I hadn't, actually, I was on the phone with him when it happened, which is another interesting story. My wife and I were on speakers on the speaker phone with him when it happened, which was absolutely horrifying to us because the line got dropped, and we thought something had happened. So I'm using this because it happened to me. It was very vivid. It was a freak accident where you're like, how this can possibly happen? And clearly it wasn't his fault. There were two kids in the car with the lady who was driving and was driving. She was arrested. Poor thing. So those things happen, right? And number one, we have to trust again God's justice, right? Those are not our fault. They have happened for a reason, though, right? And my son was wise enough to, and I hope he allows me to use him as an example, but he himself concluded that there was a purpose in that, and he knew what the purpose was actually because he used to be a drunk driver himself. So he learned from that, and he trusts God that justice would be done. I mean, in this case, earthly justice was done. The lady, unfortunately, was arrested, and we'll have to deal with the consequences of what they did. But even if we don't think that justice has happened on earth, divine justice, we know it will take care of it. So it's not for us to handle it through our hands. We have to place that confidence that God's justice will take care of it. But then the question is fantastic. What do I learn from it? Something is there for me. And as I said, my son, after some reflection, he could clearly see that he was posing other people's lives in danger before when he was not sober. And God could not have been more obvious in showing here's what happens when you drunk drive, right? So I hope that helps.
That does help. All right, we're going to shift to the world of AI now. When does using AI for sensitive jobs like mental health and spiritual advice stop being helpful and start taking away from the important human part?
Yeah. We could go on a journey here about philosophizing about AI. And again, I work in technology. I am a passionate person about technology. I was coding when I was 12, and again, when I was 12 is a long time ago, and I was coding. So I from early in life I admired. I was passionate about technology, and I think technology has has a role to play. And I've worked with technology my whole life. And I can state a few things. Technology should not, and I don't believe it will ever take the human part of it. Technology is a tool. And as a tool, it helps you. It helps you save time, it helps you produce better quality outcomes, products, whatever it is that you do in your job. If you use technology, you can do it faster, with less errors, and with better quality. But it's still you. If anyone is letting AI do the, perform the function or add the value that you are supposed to be adding as a thinking human being, or a thinking and loving human being, then you are being a bad professional. So that's what I think. Is this is where we have to make the decision that um, whatever you are the source of, AI cannot be the source of. So if you're the source of love and care to a person, and there are certain things that AI can help you do, fantastic. If AI, if anyone believes that AI is going to love someone on your behalf, I think that's obviously a mistake. That's where I think we draw the line. And I think, just in closing, I am encouraged because I think, and again, I'm very close to this, being part of a large technology company. There's enough brilliant people thinking about this the right way. Again, that gives me peace of mind and heart that people understand. Those who are in charge, they understand that it's a tool. It's not meant to take away the essence of who we are and what we do.
I I could go off on this one.
Sure.
I would just say we have similar backgrounds, and and so I heard a presentation recently, the analogy between AI and the evolution of the saw.
Huh.
Okay, now if we think about the first saws used to chop down trees, it emanated from axes. If we think about the world of saws today, we have these power saws that are absolutely stunning and dangerous. That's kind of like technology.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
And
It's a
AI.
tool. It can be dangerous. I agree.
All right, another question. How should we avoid AI distractions on our spiritual journey?
My answer is, as we avoid any other distractions in our spiritual journey. AI is the shining new object that we have right now. And those shiny new objects, they pop up all the time during different times, right? Before, it was the phone itself, right? There weren't phones, now there are phones. The television was a shining object at some point in time. The smartphone became one. AI now is it. So I think much like any other distraction, it's dangerous. I like the danger element that you introduced, Mark, because it's dangerous in the same sense that if we hang on to something as an escape, if we use something as an excuse to, and whatever that excuse is, it could be technology, it could be drugs, it could be whatever the case might be. We are very good as humans at finding those distractions, those excuses, not to continue working on our evolution. So um, the best way in this case with AI is, and this is what I think you tried to do with your presentation the other day, Mark, and I tried to do with it today, is to show how this can be used as a tool. It helped me. I hope that it helped me, and you did the same thing. It helped make our presentations better. It took us less time to prepare them. We had more time to actually go into the research that AI has helped us do and get more insights. And what I also tell people is AI can even do the presentation for you, right? So this particular tool I use, which is Notebook LM, it will create a 6 to 10 minute presentation, and it will do a far better job than many of us do in presenting, in the sense of being engaging, being fun, been interested in what I tell people at work and at home. If you are not as good as the AI when you present, then you have to practice more. Because if AI can do a better job of entertaining people through the presentation, then we are not doing our jobs as presenters. So it raises the bar. That's what it does. It makes me want to be a better presenter. And I'm like, I need to be as good as the AI, otherwise people are not going to listen to me. I'm like, this guy is boring. My goodness, I'm going to just listen to the AI. Right? So that is the new bar for us.
It will continue to be a tool. And that means that, we won't become experts with that tool overnight.
That's right.
It will take a while to become artists with it.
100%. You're right.
Effective. So there was a question that was exactly what you've just been talking about, but there may be other elements to this. How might AI shape the future of spiritual learning?
Yeah, I think we should embrace it. I mean, I know we have a bias. Again, maybe those of us who are in technology maybe have less of a bias, but we tend to avoid and be careful and be a little bit afraid of new technology. But I think is the opposite. I think we as spiritists, whether we are instructors, right, students, teachers, disseminators, technology can be a huge helper in because and most of us are volunteers, right? I mean, I think all of us are volunteers. I don't think any of us take a salary by doing what we do in Spiritism. Therefore, if technology can help me save time in whatever it is that I need to do so that I do a better job in my volunteering time, then why not? Why not use it to help us? So, and I've been doing this. My wife is a youth educator, and she teaches kids from different ages. We have 4 kids ourselves, and I've been pushing her. Of course, she's married to me. I mean, she has no choice. I've been pushing her to use AI, and she has embraced it. And it's beautiful to see the number of new resources she can use to teach the kids, and they love it. Again, you're not replacing the teacher. You're just, now having a larger number of resources that you can use, right? I mean, AI, for example, this particular tool can build a little storybook. You just feed it with the content, and it will very quickly build a storybook for you. For young kids, again, storybook is fantastic, right? They wanna read, they wanna see it. When I was growing up, if I had to create a storybook, oh my goodness, that would be a 6-month project, right? So I cannot draw. So
I just want to give you and the audience a thought about a potential danger. And this one in particular has a legal consequence. Just 2 weeks ago, I wanted to find out if there was an English version of Boa Nova.
Yep.
The answer is apparently not. But did you know? I mean, AI told me that there is no known published version in English. But did you know I could take any chapter and convert it into English and turn it into a presentation?
You could.
Now, is that a borderline or is that a direct violation of copyright? Does that potentially disturb, the relationship between USSF and the international body in Brazil? I mean, I started asking myself questions before I even went there and did it, because I found out I can do it really easy.
Yeah. That's a great question, and I think this is probably the area in general, whether it's within Spiritism or outside, right? I think as we are observing, this is one big complicated area. The whole area of copyrights is the one that we're going to have to contend with. I think you are 100% right. This is something very early, and I think a lot of thinking is going to have to go into this.
Okay, I now have an answer. I
Okay,
asked,
you
I
see,
asked
there's one.
about individuals.
And that's the other danger of AI. Sometimes it will give you the wrong answer, right? So this is so that's fantastic. When I say embrace it, is embrace it, but be careful, of course. But you know, it,
What a
it,
great example.
yeah, it's a great example. That is, it couldn't have been better. This is perfect. This is perfect.
Outstanding.
Cool.
Okay, let me get back to the script now.
Sure.
Uh, Come on, Mousy. There we go. Well, Eduardo, awesome job today. Thank you so much. And a heartfelt thanks to everyone, including the folks behind the scenes, for joining us in today's talk, and those who regularly follow the Spiritism Talk series. Your continued engagement is truly appreciated. We invite you to join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern for our next live session, while Zhao Korngold will be giving us a topic, loving life. Oh, I like that. We look forward to having you with us. Eduardo, any final thought? And then could you lead us in a closing prayer?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I wanna thank the United States Spiritist Federation. I want to thank you, Mark. It was a pleasure to meet you. We had not had an opportunity to do so, but I feel like for some reason that we've known each other for a while. And thank you, the folks who are behind the scenes here, Joan and Daniel and others who are helping us do this. And it's I think my final thought is what I felt when doing this is it made the whole experience so much pleasant for me, and I hope it also made the whole experience a little bit more pleasant to everybody, for everybody. So this is the message I want to do. Is, I mean, this can help us in the Spiritist movement, really make the fantastic content that Spiritism brings. Spiritism is spectacular, right? What it brings to us is indescribable in terms of how much knowledge and guidance and clarity it creates for life. And if we can find better ways to do this, then we are reaching more people, we are helping more people, we are disseminating Spiritism. So with that, I invite everyone to follow me in prayer in this blessed Saturday, wherever you are, in the United States or outside of the United States. Let us take a moment here to be very thankful to our God, our Creator, for allowing us to be here, to be learning, to be collaborating, to be putting in practice all of these beautiful laws that we talked about today. May we all feel embraced by the warmth of our spiritual mentors and protectors, wherever we are, because they are next to us at this moment, next to you, embracing you, inspiring those ideas, those thoughts, affirmations, commitments that are important for your life, for each one of our lives. Things that are within us, part of our plan while we are here incarnated. It's an opportunity for us to listen to our inner voice, our conscience, but also for our spiritual mentors and guides to talk to us, to remind us, to give us confidence, calm, to give us energy, and to give us courage to continue taking the next steps in our journey of evolution. May we all be blessed today, during this week that starts. May we all be able to gather again next week, and so be it.
So